I noticed that with people. They'd be like, oh, I can't get with this person. What it is the relationship didn't go the way you wanted. Therefore, you think you're better off going to start fresh somewhere, even if there's a kid involved, rather than do the work of a mature person and work within this relationship. That's why I like marriage and stuff, because it turns a mirror to you. All your worst stuff gonna come out here.
Mhm.
And I feel like the way I'm gonna be champ, big body champ, is if I make it through this situation, you can't tell me nothing.
Mhm.
Everything that happened, I made it through all of it. What can you tell me?
Mhm.
People don't think like that anymore. It's like something went wrong. I'm gonna go start fresh elsewhere.
Do you think that the single mother rate would change if people was forced, like, so say you had one baby mama, right, and y'all was forced to be together in the house. If you had another baby mama, y'all also was forced to be together in the house. Like,
I think the death rate will go up.
so it'd be like people talk about like men having multiple child's mothers, right?
Yep.
Well, every new mother, you're gonna have to partner up with 6 other ones, 7 other ones, 15
Yep.
at this point. Do you
I
think
think
that
that
would
should be
drastically reduce
mandated.
those numbers?
Yep. Just like you said, I
Yeah,
think that
because what
still
was
should be
that
mandated.
love when y'all was in the bed with each other? I mean, y'all was happy with each other then. What did it just go out the window? Like, nah, bring it back, baby. They gonna be forced to be with each other. Shoot.
Yep.
Solution
So
gotta be, it's probably
we
extreme.
got look, man, we got to be on some China stuff now, because no culture has ever benefited from too much freedom, and now we have too much freedom.
Too much
We're
freedom.
to the point where China don't allow the stuff they're feeding us on TikTok. They're purposely doing it.
They
to
do, because they
destroy-
don't do that to their own people.
They don't do that to their own people. That
Yeah.
means that they want to put their
fall for it
society
every
above
time.
ours. How can you be a society where the minds of your future generation is corrupted versus their minds being enlightened? They are going to whoop our ass physically, mentally, and in every way possible in the next 3-4 generations. America is going to be the laughing stock of the world when it was once the superpower, simply because of stuff we let happen here.
So then my question is, how do you dial that back? Like, because I know I remember reading something about when we are looking at social media, television, all of those things, and Black households,
Yep.
our children typically watch more hours or involved in more hours than any other race across the board. So how do we mitigate that to kind of change the tide?
All right. So, if you're most racist conservatives aren't going to like what I say, this immigration thing that we got going on with the massive you can't stop it, because no matter how you feel about immigrants, these people keep their families together.
Mm.
So the ethnic switch, every empire goes through that. They go through an ethnic switch where people they just switch themselves out. If it was white Anglo people, it's white people of a different type. If it's black, descendants of slaves, now it's black people of a different type. So don't stop the ethnic switch, because if it's families involved in it and a culture of respect for others' property, respect for people's individual bodies and property, those are good principles to base your culture off of. If it's respect for education, your elders, those are good things to build your culture off of. So Mexicans, South Americans, Asians, Middle Easterns, Africans, don't disrespect them anymore, because they're literally the future of America.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to beat and compete with China, you're going to have to depend on those people. The other sad part about it is there's going to have to be death. All of this living your best life culture, those people actually literally have to die off. You see what I'm saying? They
not
have
at all. So you just advocated for bringing in more Africans and killing off the Americans.
No, I'm dead serious. What I'm saying is,
and no education. Nobody becomes educated.
This is to the height.
No. These people value education. The number one group.
No,
of
you
people,
said we shouldn't be having education. You said it's okay for them to have education, but we don't. We don't need.
No. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, y'all. The black community is not fixing their issues fast enough for it to have any kind of effect. In fact, everything is getting worse. More women they're having less babies, less marriage, less everything. Like there's no fixing that at this point. If you could, the cycle is already too far gone. Everybody that thinks this way has to die Something bad has to happen to them, and people have to see them die lonely. People don't change until they have no choice. No society has ever repaired itself. What happened is that they saw the death and the catastrophe, and the children after them said, I don't want that. Their legend has to be catastrophe. That's the bad part. You have to tell these stories in a book for people to be like, I don't want to be like those millennial and Gen Z. You see what I'm saying?
You have to die off. I think that I do agree that there has to be something about it that's not tempting for the other generation. For example, when they had 50s and people didn't want to be like this stay-at-home mom, there was a generation after like, I don't want to be like her. You know, they didn't have to die. It's just that they just didn't want to be like their moms. And so that started feminist movement, so to speak. So I think death is taking it a bit far, but you're right. It has to be something that is not pleasing to the eye, or something that doesn't look tempting. Like it's something that the new generation, like, I don't want that for myself. Like that's not what I want.
I think the consequences of their behavior has to be so great that those who see what those consequences are going to then say, like what you said, I don't want that for me. Like, I mean, even in our generation, when we had the crack era, that was something that kept me away from even trying a drug.
And I never even saw the crack era.
Yeah,
that wasn't even around me.
Yeah,
I mean, we were in New York, so
yeah. So for me, I think that's the same thing that has to happen. Like when I saw that, I'm like, I was so scared of the consequences of that, you know. And then that was that big push about, you know, saying no to drugs, and this drug is a gateway drug. So it was a big push to, you know, counteract that. But seeing it up close and personal, to see the effects of what that would look like, kept me away from doing that. So I think with this generation, with everything that's going on, they have to begin to see the consequences of what, you know, that looks like before they end up making, you know, a U-turn and, you know, going the other direction.
You know, it's so funny. Yeah. I remember as a kid, you know, the only interaction I had with crack, and the thing, I mean, besides Pookie, you know, from New Jack City, I remember there was this basketball player who died. He was just going in, I don't know his name, but I remember looking at the news, and I remember this. So I was at my grandma's house, and it was this basketball player, and I think he just got into the league. And the story is vague. I mean,
was it Hank Gathers or something? Hank?
Oh, I don't know. I just know it was the 80s. And I remember looking at this dude, and they were saying it was like big news, and they kept on covering it. And the guy had sniffed for the first time, and he died. And he was an NBA player.
Len Bias? He died on draft night. Like,
yeah, something. Yes, and that was just like, because I was a kid, and I just knew that was my crack. I don't ever think I want to ever try crack, because his story alone traumatized me.
So that's cocaine. That's not crack. But
they're all white powder. I don't know the difference, so I just stay away from both. How about
crack ain't powder?
You know, the old folks be like, dope.
Oh, shit, it's not dope.
That era, cocaine was real heavy. Like, cocaine was like a party drug back then. Like how people smoke weed, people was doing coke back then.
But that's the crazy thing, is that crack was so bad, but now the drugs that they have today, the fact that it's worse than crack.
But why would even you want to try that? I don't understand. Like,
that's right. It's crazy.
It's a lot of people that's hurt out here, that's depressed, that's looking for an escape, and you can use drugs to go on vacation from your reality.
That's true. I guess that's how I look at tequila.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. White people got to die too. It's not just black people.
We're not talking about killing
people. Do that,
no, what I'm saying is these cultures, the black and white culture specifically, are now a slave to their bad habits. They're like too far gone. The destruction of family is the destruction of your ethnic group. That's really what it boils down to.
I think that the problem is economic. We value economics more than we value family. Like it's
exactly.
Family. Yeah.
I was gonna say, but individual economics will never beat group economics. That's why those ethnic groups that I mentioned are going to dominate. They're going to be the regular ass Americans, right? So they get their wish, and they're going to replace everybody. I mean, it's not.
So you saying we should just vote to kick all y'all out? So we don't have to deal
I
with
was
that.
gonna say, if you really feel some kind of way about it, yeah, just start a civil war and try to kick everybody out. But that ain't gonna work either. But you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. The incentive, let's put it this way. The incentive, if we were to say, let's call a come to Jesus meeting and repair the Black community today, the number one agenda would be take away all incentive to keep Black men out of the household. They're not doing that. All of the government stuff that's still in place to keep a Black man out of the house is still there. It's not going anywhere.
Look,
So,
well, I think the incentive should be to. I'm gonna go against you. Is I think that education.
what is it? What incentive for what?
And I think that if you are on government assistance for whatever reason, it should be temporary. There should be a cap on government assistance.
Oh, I agree. 1,000%.
I think that unless you're showing, for example, if you're showing hardcore evidence that you're a Walmart worker and you're just not making enough, and you got all these hours and it's just not enough, that's totally different because we can see you're really working. Because the problem is somebody's got to work those jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. You
so
see what I'm saying?
Listen to what I'm saying. Somebody's got to work the job. So I think I have a problem when your work is not matching, you know, and you're getting these assistants and you ain't got a job. Like you're just sitting down. What are you doing with yourself? You just chilling over here. Like you're not even working. You're not even working, putting in the time. You know, that's when I have a problem. I don't really have a problem with the person who is working and they show that they're working and they're working hard. It's just they're just not getting paid a lot. That I don't mind helping that person because they're at least trying to work and they're working jobs everybody wants. But I do have a problem with that chick who's not doing, or that man who's not doing anything.